We are live on Facebook. Hi, Jessie.
Up and
Uh,
running. Hi, Kim.
I'm so excited that you got to play with me today. This is going to be so much fun. So, to get started, I just want to introduce what today's program is about a little bit, or what the whole thing is about. I am. This is the She Stands blog slash soon to be podcast, which I'm super excited about, and have been interviewing right now sailing women and their journeys and challenges and awarenesses and all different things that concern mental health, physical health, anything along those lines. Just bringing to the forefront various topics. And today, Jessie is here with me to talk about identity. And identity is really important. And I actually am going to be doing a group coaching session coming up next month. It starts next month. It's a 4-part session where the first session we discuss values to know what we stand for. And that's always important. And then the next session is on identity, who we are, because we all identify with so many different roles and characteristics. It's like we're in a play and we have all these different characters that we play depending on who we're with and what we're doing. So really looking at identity is very important. And then we move on to why we're here. What is our purpose? And then from those solid foundations, we can look at our vision for the future. And so today, Jessie and I are going to kind of tap into that second aspect. Who are we, and what identity means to her? So, Jessie, tell me just a little bit about yourself, past, present, and future.
Awesome.
And yeah.
Awesome. First of all, thank you, Kim, for having me. It's always a cool opportunity to get to talk about your life and your story and think about it on a little bit deeper level. So thank you for finding me fascinating enough to have me here.
Of course.
It is a subject, identity, that I'm pretty passionate about and exploring on the daily. Past, present, future. If I could kind of sum up myself and my life, I was a super social kid. My whole life was about my friends, Friday night, and what was happening on the weekend. I was really into art, struggled deeply with math and sciences and government and politics, and flourished in the photography room, the art room, graphic design, all that kind of stuff. And as most kids do, I kind of stuck to that lane and stuck in that area that I knew I was good at and that I was told I was good at, in this area that I was encouraged, and seemingly made me avoid any other subject that possibly could have challenged me, because a challenge was scary at the time. So I just kind of stuck with what I was good at, which resulted in me going to art school. Um, I went to Grand Rapids, Michigan, grew up in Michigan. After I graduated high school, I moved out to Los Angeles to go to art school, do the Hollywood thing. And about 2 years into that, I recognized that I was actually bored out of my mind and I wasn't being challenged. And it was kind of this very natural space for me, where I felt like I was paying for an education that it was something that was already very natural to me. And I wasn't learning, I wasn't flourishing. And I'll dig into this a little bit more as we discuss identity. But my my first identity crisis was this deep yearn to be something much more than the fun, cute art student. I was desiring intellect, I was desiring challenge, I was desiring um, intelligence that I wasn't necessarily ever told that I had. And long diversion there, I ended up in aviation school. And so I went from art school to flight school all before I was 20, and spent 2 years at a helicopter school in Camarillo, California, greater Los Angeles area. And just to expedite that moving forward, um, that that all turned into sailing. over the years. I bounced around quite a bit. And the aviation world ultimately ended up terrifying me. It was the greatest challenge of my life, the greatest confidence boost of my life. I learned for the first time that maybe I was smart and I could challenge myself, and I wasn't just the fun art student. I was more than that. And but it also had this opposite effect where um, I was a blonde 21-year-old 5'2" chick flying helicopters, and it went from the most exciting ride of my life to terrifying, and I grew more and more scared and less confident within that industry, um, which ultimately gave me the confidence to buy a boat and go sailing. But I did not have the confidence to move forward with the aviation career, and ever since then, 10 years ago now, that turned into sailing. And basically my whole life has been either on a boat in my 20s. And ironically, I did end up circling back around to art. And I'm now a full-time photographer, portrait and wedding photographer, and part-time sailor. Oh, and are you ready?
Yes.
I'm 30 weeks
Bump.
pregnant.
Baby bump, I love it. Oh,
It's big. And presently, I am at my loft in Michigan, 30 weeks pregnant.
sweet, sweet, sweet.
First kid on the way.
That's wonderful. And so you were at what age? You guys did the Great Loop, you and Katie, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. My first, my kind of first taste of sailing was very much a polar plunge. Shortly after I decided I was kind of, step away from flying, my best friend and I bought a Cal 27 in Chicago for a couple $1,000, and we moved back to Michigan, and we spent a whole summer fixing it up. And her and I lived and traveled on that boat for 2 years, and we did America's Great Loop on it, starting and ending in northern Michigan. And that kicked off a whole nother set of adventures. So
right. Oh, that's super exciting. Super exciting. So kind of shifting out of that and more into your personal life. One of the things that I've noticed, one of the themes when I'm talking to women that live on their boats or cruise or not, I mean, it's a common thing when adult women everywhere, is self-care. What are some of your favorite self-care practices?
I really had to think about this one, ironically, because my version of self-care isn't necessarily what another woman might categorize as self-care. When I first think of self-care, I think of getting my hair done, going to the spa, taking myself shopping or meditating, or, all these things kind of come up as self-care. And to be honest, I'm very, very poor at all of those things. I'm not that great at that kind of self-care. But what I am good at, and what I do and make intentional time for, is me time. And me time would be my self-care. And by me time, that could be journaling. That could be calling a best friend because I miss them and want to have a nice conversation. That could be going out for a row here in the backyard in Michigan, just taking 30 minutes, just go be alone on the water. Those are kind of my self-care tactics that ground me and give me a little bit of time to think and just step away from work and step away from the state of the world. So yeah, I get my version of self-care would be my different things that I do to just have me time, stop working, step away from the husband, from the family, and all that stuff.
That's brilliant, because that's so important to recognize that self-care gets to look different for everybody. What eases your mind? What brings that peace to your heart? That's exactly. Self-care. Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks.
Quality time. My love language is quality time. That's my self-care.
Good. So this is something I don't think we've ever discussed. Do you have a yoga practice? Do you practice yoga or meditate?
No, I really do not have any kind of consistent routine with yoga or meditation. It kind of falls under the same category of me time and sailing, to be honest. I've learned so much of these same kind of tricks and trades and tactics that you can learn in meditation and in yoga um, from sailing. And that comes from choosing isolation, comes from choosing disconnect, comes from being forcing yourself basically to sit and have enough time to reflect and have some retrospect on your life and decisions you've made. And you just have to sit there with yourself, when you're on long passages or when you're away from a city or a town where you can get internet or whatever. That's kind of been my version of meditation and yoga in a way, not in an exercise form, but yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I love bringing the two passions together. Why I brought that in my book Yoga on Board was because you learn so many of the same messages. And
Yeah.
when you're on a sailboat, the way you move your body, you have to be aware of how you're moving your body to be safe. You have to be aware, especially if you're in a storm or some big seas, you're present. You are more present than you could ever be sitting in meditation on a cushion. And so I totally understand what you're saying. And that's one reason I love the sailing as well so much. So much. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beneficial, and it's hard. Yoga's hard. Meditating is hard. It doesn't just come naturally, and it's not something that's always enjoyable to get into. Like you have to decide that you want to take the time to sit with yourself in that way, or to stretch your body that way, and to feel that pain that you feel in those deep stretches, and to feel the pain that you might feel in thinking about things that you don't want to think about. I've really been able to receive a lot of that, whether I like it or not, from sailing.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And I will say, just to add on to that real quick, kind of back to self-care, actually, and a little bit of meditation and the me time thing. It shifted a little bit with pregnancy, because everything's just a little different now. It's my first time being pregnant, and my self-care while pregnant has been really allowing myself to rest, and I've gotten really good at saying no, and I feel like there's a self-care element to being able to say no. And when I say no, like, I'm talking about very basic things, are you interested in coming out to dinner tonight, or we're getting together tonight? And I'm just like, no. I'm tired and I just want to be home and be me. And it's been really easy for me to do that during pregnancy, and it's been really liberating, actually.
Good. Yeah, setting boundaries is like the ultimate form of self-care.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and not feeling guilty about it. I'm not even torn. It's just a no-brainer.
Yeah. Really nice. And I know that's something I struggle with in life, is setting those boundaries for myself. I'm getting better. So I'm excited about that. Mm-hmm. So let's dive in to identity. You recently did something that I think had a lot of us that know you shocked. Would you like to share?
I would love to. Why don't I go ahead and just share my screen really quick?
Beautiful.
So I can give you a visual. Okay. So for all of my friends who are watching here, I just have a little photo gallery, and we're going to start with the Jessie who once had hair. So in April, mid lockdown back here in Michigan, I decided to shave my head for multiple reasons, but mostly because I needed a little kick of adrenaline. So these are just some fun photos that kind of go through the steps of having my own husband shave my head.
Awesome.
which was part of the reason why I was able to make my decision was having a supportive husband. That is the scariest photo I'll have of myself until the end of time. Married for I was gonna
So
we
did
thought
you guys intentionally go for the mullet look?
oh, we intentionally went for the mullet, and jokingly I was gonna see if I could keep it for like a day, but could not handle it. I was like, get it off. Get off my head. So I had a bottle of wine while my husband shaved my head, and it kind of hurt, to be honest. Like it really, it was like ripping my hair out of my head, you know. But I'll never forget it. I shaved his head afterwards, and that night we just sat in the bath, drunk, and laughed at each other, and just like couldn't believe that we had shaved each other's heads, and it was
Awesome.
just such a memory. Um, there's all the hair on the floor. There's my mop. It looks really brown. I don't know why it looks like
It
that.
does, which is
Yeah,
surprising.
crazy, huh? Okay.
Mhm.
These are some self portraits I took about a week after I shaved my head, and I'm really glad I took these. I'm really really glad. It was such an odd time, and I will definitely cherish them forever because I'm not ever gonna shave my head again. Um, but the kicker to the I shaved my head story was that I was pregnant and I didn't know it yet.
Mm.
So 2 weeks after I shaved my head, I found out I was pregnant. And this is the phase where my husband and I looked like siblings.
Wow. So when you shaved your head, you shared with me a while ago how
Oh,
you had some, I don't know if epiphany is the correct word, but some inner thoughts about identity, which
sure.
is what brought about this. Can you share with us that?
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to read you a little excerpt that I wrote kind of recently after I shaved my head. And the idea was inspired by another woman I photographed who shaved her head. She had long, long, black, beautiful hair, Asian gal.
Mhm.
And she shaved her head during lockdown, and she reached out to me because she wanted some portraits. And so I spent some time with her, and I was just so fascinated and turned on by her story of how she felt when she shaved her head, and how she described just like feeling more herself than she'd ever really felt before. And it just stuck with me. I was obsessed with the idea of it for weeks. So it wasn't a huge spontaneous decision. I mean, I thought about it pretty hard for 2 weeks. That's enough, right? But let me read you what I wrote. Okay. The best advice I've ever received was very simply said: no one cares about you as much as you think they do. And I haven't a clue who said that to me, but I'll never forget it. I'm not referring to your immediate family or your lifelong best friends, because there's a good chance that they care about you more than you'll ever be able to interpret. I just mean in general, people don't really care. They just don't. They're not thinking about you as often as you think they are, and they do not judge you as awfully as you do yourself. They don't have the time. It's not cruel, and it's not meant to be pessimistic. Think about it. It's liberating and should make you want to burst into song or shave your head. My fiery burn was put out this month. I'm referring to lockdown here. I've had my pity party. I've drank too much wine. I've slept way too much. There's been no spontaneity, no adventure, no adrenaline, no travel, no enthusiasm, no work, no motivation. There's no joy aside from Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin's Tiger King. So naturally, I needed to create my own. I shaved my head because I recently photographed a young woman who did it before me, and I simply couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about why my hair mattered in the first place, and I couldn't stop thinking about my own identity and what role my hair played in it. I couldn't stop thinking about my ideas of femininity, and one thing was very obvious: the things that make me feel powerful as a woman have absolutely nothing to do with the mop on my head and the products that require to clean and style that mop. If anything, my hair's always gotten in the way of the things that make me who I am. My conclusion was, I don't give a shit about my hair. Neither does anybody else. And I'm not suggesting everybody go shave their head because it's a big decision, but I might challenge some of you. I'm suggesting to use this quiet time to identify what actually does matter to you, what does make you feel powerful, while these months that make you feel powerless pass. My entire attitude changed this week. I feel good. Let's just say I ran out of shampoo and solved the problem by finding the root of it. Huge thanks to Mia, the woman I photographed, for my inspiration. Huge thanks to my husband for giving me the confidence. And huge thanks to everyone for not caring as much as I think you do.
Oh, you brought tears to my eyes, Jess. That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks. So yeah, that was if I could sum up my thought process behind the best way I could put it.
That's beautiful. You definitely have a way with words as well as a way with your camera.
I'm working on it. Thank you.
How has this affected how you see yourself in relationships, how you see yourself as a woman, as a wife, as a daughter, as a friend, as an influencer?
Good question. And I think the answer does vary quite a bit depending on, who I'm talking about. And as a woman, in general, I think it's definitely given me a sense of control. Like I feel in control. There's this big identity changing decision, and you have control over it, and we've had control over it our whole lives from the moment we came into this world. But it feels very, very controlled by social norms and by social media, and by many, many other aspects of our lives. This partner we're with, the family we're born into. But it's yours, and you can do whatever the hell you want with it. If you don't want hair, shave your head. So there was kind of that power, that sense of power that felt really,
the
really
word
good.
that keeps coming into my mind is it empowered.
Yeah, totally.
You were empowered. And how about as a sailor?
As a sailor,
because that's kind of that we as women sailors, we deal with this masculine feminine world that is a masculine world, except for few of us.
Totally. So I will say, as a sailor, a little different, in a lesser exciting way. And I say that because my role in sailing ever since I started has been a very blue one. I've never done the pink role on a boat. I've never played the wife, the mom, the one with zero. I've played the one with zero experience, but I mean, like, I have been the person at the helm or the person that is docking the boat, and have learned to fix things left and right out of survival, out of the fact that I've needed to, not necessarily because I've wanted to. And so I've kind of fallen into a much more masculine role on a boat. And what I've enjoyed over the years is I love that element of surprise when you meet someone and they're like, you're the captain, and I love that long blonde hair when I can just roll up all feminine, like this little sassy thing. No one has any idea that like maybe I was the one in charge, kind of thing. So that element of surprises was always really fun. I got a kick out of that, and since I have short hair, like, I look the part now. I look a tomboy. I look like a sailor. Like, I look like the person that was probably getting my hands dirty in the engine and probably docking the boat. And that's okay. But I will admit, like, I miss that little element of surprise. Like, you, you know? And just one of my greatest memories was rocking up to port in Morocco with my British husband and German friend crew. Two also qualified sailors. And when Port Authority came and asked who the captain was, and it was a little girl with long blonde hair, it was wild. It was so wild to them. And I'm not saying if I had short blonde hair at the time that would have changed anything. No. But there's that sense of, predictable femininity that you have with hair. And that's something you've had for most of us our whole lives, and not having it. So now I feel like I look like part now. I look like a sailor chick.
There you go. There you go. And one more question that's I'm really curious about. With your upcoming new family,
Yes.
how will this, do you think, affect how you raise your child?
That's a really good question. And I think I've grappled the whole time during pregnancy with identity in general. Not necessarily in a negative way, just in a very conscious way. It's been something I've been thinking about a lot. And, we have all these wild hormones going through our body and all these things that we have to accept that we're giving up. We're saying goodbye to one thing and we're saying hello to another. And it's like a sense of grief mixed with a sense of excitement. And it's all of these things. It's just this huge, huge shift. And accepting and handling the shift of shaving your head on top of going from a relatively footloose and fancy free independent woman to a mother has got me, it's been a roller coaster. And again, not a bad roller coaster, just more intense than I've experienced in the past. One day I feel like a complete badass. I'm like, my body's doing this. I'm working. I feel great. Like, I'm going to be good at this. I don't need hair, and then the next day I'll do a really mild exercise and I'll end in tears because I feel so weak and so big. And then I'm just like, where's my hair? So it's just been a lot of highs and lows of totally digging this new persona and being fascinated with my body and then missing so badly what I had before, and just my strength, my body, my what I thought felt like femininity. But it is an odd kind of um this odd feeling of feeling more feminine than I've ever felt in my life. My boobs are bigger than I've ever been. I'm growing a baby. I'm as woman as a woman can be, but then also feeling more tomboy than I've ever felt in my life. So yeah, it's just so odd. I am appear to be a whole new woman, but I mean internally I'm just becoming a mom. It's very odd. I can feel it too. Like the hormonal influence is definitely there. So I don't know how it's gonna affect me being a mom. Um, One thing I have spent a lot of time thinking about, and I was maybe gonna get into this in a little bit, but this might be a good segue for it, is what we were told we were as kids and how that affects who we think we are going to be as adults.
Yes.
Example, when we have these little personalities when we're kids, and then you get around adults, and there seems to be this repeat commentary. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're so smart. Oh, you're so fun. Oh, you're so quiet. So here, me as a kid, for my whole life. You're so cute. You're so fun. She's so fun. Yep. You're so fun. Oh my God, she's so cute. So fun. Cute and fun. Right? So as a kid, in my head, I'm cute and fun and think I can just get through my life being cute and fun. My sister, she's so smart. She's so intelligent. She's very mature, And so in her head, since she was young, she's this intellect who's thriving in school, and I'm the fun girl that's partying and has a great social life. And so we kind of carry these things with us for, I think, a really long time. And it wasn't until I was in art school, I'm going to kind of circle back to my little introduction there. It wasn't until I was in art school where I realized that I didn't want to just be those things. Those things were enough, and I wanted to be smart. I wanted to be intellectual. I wanted to be well educated. I wanted to be brave. And so I think I spent really the next decade trying to shift cute and fun into brave and socially intelligent. My version of intelligence. Um,
Yes.
and I wonder now that I'm becoming a parent to just be conscious and walk carefully about what is ingrained in your child's mind. Like, sure, they might outwardly be cute and fun, or they might outwardly be really smart and really clever, but ultimately we're all more than those things, and we are one thing on the outside, and that doesn't mean that we're only that thing. But I think when we're told something a lot as a kid, uh, you forget that you're actually much more than that, and you can be more. You don't have to be stuck in that lane that you were as a child. And I just think that we carry that with us, for I certainly did, for a
Yeah.
long time, you
I
know.
think that's really important that you brought that up, and that's one thing. I've got a 2-year-old granddaughter and a 7-year-old grandson that
Mhm.
I'm being very, especially with my granddaughter, because I'm around her a lot more,
Yeah.
and being very conscious of, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so cute, you're so smart, you're getting to be such a big girl. It's like really hearing myself as these words come out of my mouth and going, okay, how's that going to set with her? How's that going to influence her?
Not gonna translate. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big responsibility
Mm.
being around a child and teaching them to create their own identities and giving them that space
Yeah. Yeah,
to
and I think just recognizing, as and as a parent, as an aunt, as a grandma, as a anyone in that kid's life, that um, to make sure that that kid knows that maybe you see something that not everybody else is telling them. You know, Making sure that strong means thin and smart means beautiful, and being able to kind of intermesh these words so they don't get confused, they don't
yeah,
get mixed up, because they're all very much one, but you hear one thing when you could mean another. And
mhm, mhm.
yeah.
Yes, exactly, that's beautiful. So if you had one piece of wisdom that you would share from Jessie,
Mhm.
what would that be? It could be in
Well,
any realm.
I love this question. It's also so hard, and it's also two things that I've already kind of touched base on, and one of them was going to be exactly what we discussed, to take that, um, who we think we are as kids, or who we're told we are as kids,
Mhm,
and understand that you don't need to be in that lane for the rest of your life, and you might be much more than that, or those people could have all been wrong.
mhm.
um, so a little bit of what I just described, as far as being conscious of, you know what you remember feeling as a kid, and maybe why you hung on to those things for so long, and maybe why you didn't explore these other options, because you didn't think you could do them. You didn't think you were smart enough. You didn't think you were experienced enough. You didn't think, you just questioned all of these things.
Yeah.
And another thing that I really, really love, like, this is the most basic line ever, which I already said via shaving my head, is that people don't care about you as much as you think they do. They don't have time. We're
Yeah.
busy. And when I hear that, that is the most like freeing thing to me on the planet. And someone could hear that and think, well, that's rude. What do you mean people don't care about me? Like, I know that these people care. I know people care about me. I know that my people, my circle, my inner circle of people care about me more than I will ever even know. But in general, in life, with strangers, and especially the social media world we live in, and who we portray we are online versus who we actually are in person, like, people don't care.
Yep.
They don't care if you quit your job and move across the country. They don't care if you sell your stuff and buy on a boat. They don't care if you shave your head. They don't care what you're wearing. They don't care what kind of shoes you bought. Uh, Probably don't care what your dog's doing. They don't care what you're eating for dinner. And I don't know. I just find that so relaxing. And again, I don't even know where that advice not even advice. I don't know where that sentence came from. But I just love it. And just when I'm obsessed with it, because when I get caught up or question maybe what I put out into the world as a photographer and as a writer. I write articles for sailing magazines, and no longer I'm really blogging, but used to blog quite a bit and do a lot of portrait photography. And I've spent so much of my adulthood trying to be everybody's cup of tea and trying to satisfy the general population around me. And in a way, you alter what you're putting out there in the world to be everybody's cup of tea. And being reminded that no one actually cares as much as you think they do, has been a little bit of an effort for me. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm just gonna put out what I believe in and what I want to do, and say what I need to say. And I don't need hair. People will still love me, you know. So yeah, I guess that would be my favorite personal little piece of wisdom.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you would like to share? Would you like to tell us about your photography business or share?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, love to just share with you guys a little bit. I've been doing portrait and wedding photography for about 5 years now, and my season usually happens in Michigan from June through October. And I'll pull up really quick my website, my very outdated website, but that's okay. And it's just been one of my greatest joys, kind of started as this small business years ago. And it grew and grew and grew via word of mouth and social media. And it's just been such a blessing. I really, really love it. And this summer in particular, I've been doing what are called Body Brave sessions.
I love.
Thank you. Been doing them a lot on boats. I don't have any boat photos on here. This is a little rated R, so I hope I don't have anyone under the 13 or 18 on here. But the reason I'm sharing it is because I started doing some fitness photography, and I was working part-time at this fitness studio, and it turned into kind of women reaching out to me to document basically the relationships they have with their bodies. And I'm 40, it's my 40th birthday, and I've never felt so good in my skin. Or I've had three children, and I finally feel like myself again. Or I'm recovering from this surgery or this sickness, and like I finally have my body, whatever the reason may be. I kept coming across all these really, really beautiful stories of clients with the struggle of the relationship that they've had in their body. And so it kind of turned into a form of art for me. And I was able to start, like I said, within the fitness industry. And it grew much broader than that. And I've been able to just completely take, in my opinion, and in my mission, is to take sex out of nude photography. It doesn't have to be for a spouse. It doesn't have to be boudoir. It doesn't have to be sexy at all. It's just about accepting your body and your skin, and maybe finding that healthy relationship that you've been struggling with for your whole life with your body. So yeah, from maternity to mamas to young brides, you name it. And it's just been such a fun.
To crazy yoga instructors in Tahiti, on the beach in Tahiti.
Yes.
I want to share all of the photos that you see on my social media profiles and my website are all Jessie's photos from our photo shoot we did in Tahiti a couple of years ago. And I want to say, when we went to do this photo shoot, I was not in the best emotional state for this shoot. And I had taken the time. We were on a share the sale with the Latitudes and Attitudes magazine group. And I'd taken the time down below to fix my hair, do my makeup, get dressed, for this photo shoot. I was going to have this professional photo shoot. And then I come up and went to right as soon as I got in the dinghy to go to shore, it started pouring down rain. You remember that? It's like,
Yeah.
what? And that just added to my emotional, like, oh my God, I was just a
Yeah.
mess. And Jessie was so brilliant in the way she was with me, her way of being, and how we just sat down on the beach. It's like we took a few shots and she could tell, I know, that I was nervous and forced.
We just needed to talk.
Yeah, we sat down and we just talked. And while we were talking, which I didn't even realize, mind you, she was snapping photographs that some of those photographs have are ones I use all the time. Just brilliant photographs while we were talking. And then it opened me up
Mhm.
so she could actually capture a little bit more of who I was.
Yeah.
And so she's if you are at all nervous about doing a photo shoot, Jessie's your girl because she will just make you feel so comfortable and so open,
Thanks.
and she's brilliant.
It's very genuine on my end, and I really, really enjoy the conversations I get to have with one-on-one, like intimate sessions like that. People do open up, and part of my job is providing a comfortable space and a listening ear. And it's not about the art I'm trying to make in my mind right now. It's about you and whatever you're going through, and being able to capture you in your natural element. And a lot of the times that requires us just hanging and talking, and a lot of women too, like, who are interested in kind of some nude portraits and the body brave stuff. They come nervous. This is not a normal thing to do. It's a vulnerable place, and you're not just like randomly getting naked for photos all the time. It's a totally different space, and the greatest part about it has been the conversations that it's led to, and tears, and talking about things that maybe they haven't talked about in a really long time, and hard subjects. And I'll be sitting in front of a crying naked client, and it's beautiful, and it's really, really, really rewarding. And it's just been the coolest little niche of photography that was very unexpected.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I
Thank
want
you.
to thank you so much, Jessie, for joining us today. And I look forward to the next time we get to visit in person. It'll probably
No,
be with a little bambino.
no. So hopefully, if we have a healthy bambino, we'll pack up the car and drive out to California in the winter, and move on to the boat for a few months. If that's the case, we'll try to make it through Idaho.
Yes. Yes.
We can meet
Beautiful.
Andy.
All right, Mamacita. I will chat with you very soon. And I
Awesome.
do that.
Thank you, everybody, very much for joining in and listening.
Yes.
Appreciate you, and we'll see you out there.
All right.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.